game was another, disappointment for all of us. Uh, Showed improvement, showed some life, and we're going to continue to do that moving forward. Trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and we do what we need to do to turn this thing around and start getting some W's. But I was very happy and pleased with the fight that we showed, resolved, and the adjustments from the top down, from the coaches to the players, and the attitude after the game was still very encouraging, even though we came up short.
Yeah, Coach Buckley, definitely watched the game and hoping you guys pulled that one out. But one of the things I did notice was the pre-snap penalties. What do you feel? Maybe we need to break it down for the guys. Basically, what do you feel as if it's the root of the pre-snap penalties?
Well, it's a combination of we changed the hard count. I mean, we're changing the count, and guys are moving. It's actually loud. There's a lot of noise in there, and you're trying to get a jump. And this league has some very good pass rushers, and so I know the tackles are trying to get a head start to get these guys on the speed rush. And if you saw at the end of the game, that's kind of what happened. Guys are moving. Their left end had just got a sack to stop us on the 4th and 15. So it's one of those things we will, we got to stop saying we have to, but we will get better at that. We're doing some things. We're going to add some more things in practice that would allow us to be able to handle that situation better. So we, as a staff, we see what the issues are and have been, and believe me, we're trying to get that corrected.
Coach, obviously, the goal is to win the game. You've said that you wanted a W, clearly, but we also talk about, you had some of the penalties. Quentin Dormady had just come back, and you guys participated in what was the highest scoring game combined in the XFL to this point. One of the best offensive performances on the scoreboard. What do you think was the biggest thing? What was the most encouraging element of that? Was it Dominic coming back and doing well? Was it the play call and taking care of business? What do you think was it that lifted the offense the most?
Well, it was a little bit of everything. You mentioned Dominic. You mentioned the offense moving, and we converted first 4th down. Actually, defense, we had a few stops, guys playing hard, just the excitement and guys not quitting, keep fighting. They kept fighting, and it came down to the last drive of the game, which we really haven't had that. Was getting ready to move it. The Arlington game was on another game that we kind of had something at the end, but this was kind of back and forth the whole game with points. That's the biggest thing. It wasn't one of those, 10-9, one of those games. It was some, we actually made some plays, and looking at the tape, we felt like we left a lot of plays out there, which is very encouraging.
And a quick follow-up on that, Coach, like we talking about Dormady getting back in after the time that he was inactive and all of that. What does it say about him to bounce back and have that performance? And what does it say about your group to embrace him so quickly coming back?
Well, just understanding the whole situation. Like we talked, family have disagreements. And once that's been established, and you hug and you move forward. And that's what we did. And it showed that we are heading in the direction. We communicate with each other, and we make sense out of stuff. And the bottom line is we're in this thing to compete and play 60 minutes and grow as young men on and off the field.
I will interject a little note here too, Kyle. You mentioned the overall most points scored. I think it's worth noting too, Cody Latimer, 124 yards is the most receiving yards in a game so far this year. So And that's coming from the tight end position, but just throwing that out there as well while we're talking about offensive superlatives.
I definitely had that in my notes. It was going to come up later. Appreciate it.
Coach, anyone that plays sports ultimately goes through losing streaks. Thinking back to your playing days, how did you keep yourself mentally prepared to play when you were in the middle of a losing streak? And how are your players doing from a mental standpoint?
Well, I always tell them, we talked about this yesterday, that if we was 5-0, what would I be saying? What would people be telling you to do? Is keep pushing forward. You let the past be the past. You're here to do a job. You love to compete. You love to play. We're professionals. We're doing something that supposedly we love. So you can't ride the wave, whether it's good or bad. That's that motivational talk. Well, we get an opportunity to live that. And in these situations, character, this is not building our character, this is revealing our character. Because you're going to have people jumping on you, jumping off the bandwagon, saying you can't do this, you can't do that. What is your true identity? What is your true character? That's what this is about. If you are a true professional and you say your character is top notch, this is something that obviously nobody wants to be a part of, but it's revealed on who you are.
Is it ultimately the player's responsibility to take ownership and to prepare themselves properly? Or how much does coaching come into play at a point like this?
Oh, coaches, being a head coach, being this falls on me. I have to make sure that we're ready to play. We're ready to play with energy. This is nobody else. From how we do things, how we prepare from day one. I want to say this, that all this has happened. It falls on me, my shoulders. This is not a blame game. This is something that the head coach has to get right, has to create this environment. Now, obviously, we can't make the plays, we can't do all that, but the motivational part, making sure they're ready to play, making sure we're making adjustments, and we are competing. One of the things I mentioned in these types of situations, you close the door and quit, and doubt is knocking at your door. And what I told them, we're not answering the door. They can knock all they want to. This is what we love to do. This is what we're passionate about. We say, don't worry about the scoreboard, don't worry about your record. We're going to play for 60 minutes every game, no matter what our record is.
How are you, Coach?
Good.
Jeff Barnes. I know you played for the Parcells-Belichick tree during your career. One of the sayings they always had is, you are what your record is. Here at midway point, you're 0-5. At what point do you tell these guys, listen, we are this 0-5 team because that's how we played 5 games. When we need to change that and change that immediately, because I know you're trying to find the positives to keep them motivated, but realistically, they've played 0-5 football so far.
Yes, our record reality, we are 0-5. We've given them more points than we've scored. The reality is that last week was last week. You have to be where your feet at. And I tell them, we will improve. We're going. I told you guys before, our first Super Bowl in New England, we was 1-4. The reality was we was 1-4. What are we going to do about it? We're going to improve. We made roster adjustments. We made practice adjustments. We kept doing our job and kept having a vision of where we want to be. You always tell guys, don't think about where you are now, but where do you want to be? And I want to say, and I feel like that we are doing that. We're moving in the right direction. There are some good things that we're doing offensively. Look at the yards, where we at. We're in the middle of the pack or the top in a lot of things. But what we're going to do is focus on where we're not at, like improve. We got to improve our turnovers, right? We pass rush on defense. We got to make more plays on defense, create turnovers. We're doing a good job with tackles for loss. Special teams creating something positive for us. Our kickoff team has not helped the defense. I think we probably got the worst starting position or defensively against us in the league. So there's areas that we know, and we are making those changes. And I think we just got to cross that finish line. And then I won't rest until we do.
Yeah. Now, one of the changes you did make was on the offensive play calling. You know, you had Shane do that. What are your thoughts about Shane and also Quentin, his production?
Well, both of them produce. I mean, this is a producing industry. Obviously, we scored more points than we have. So, again, just to you guys, to the fans, we're not sitting on our hands and saying we're going to keep doing the same thing. We know there are issues. But that's what this league, this is an opportunity league. This is kind of developmental league. Guys that haven't played in a while. And these are not excuses. This is the reality. I stayed up and studied. I didn't watch. I studied the Arlington and San Antonio game last night. Where everybody knows the score was 12-10. 12-10. They had, I want to say that somebody had 9 penalties, somebody had 7 penalties, and it's false starts, it's missed throws and all that. So if you just look around the league, there are some of the same things that's pertinent against, all the teams. For us, we just get them at the wrong time, and we realize what we need over here to be competitive. Get a ball bounce our way here, to get a call here. We're trying to create those opportunities for ourselves.
Coach, with that in mind, we've been talking about the changes you've made and things like that. For all the talk we've done about changing your ability to adapt, what's something you think you're going to hold firm with now that you got 32 points up on the board this past game?
Well, to the fundamentals of football, that would never change. Hustling, playing for 60 minutes, trying to cut out being physical. A lot of things we're not doing that I'm not going to change. We have to be better tacklers in the open field. We have to cut down on these penalties, and we will. Pre-snap penalties are killing us. We have to protect the quarterback better. We have to pass rush better. So none of that is changing. That's what we keep harping on. We just trying to figure out. And you need players too, right? You need players. We got to coach better. I got to do a better job doing all the stuff as a head coach. So there's always improvement for everybody. But again, I'm looking at myself and saying, what can I do better? How can I continue to improve as a head coach to make sure that it trickles down the right way?
Do you think Quentin Dormany's done enough to be competing for a start in the coming week here?
Yeah. Did we score more points than we ever scored? So you got the answer. We're not, this is what I called it yesterday. I told y'all for it's Honest Sunday. I get it. They give it to me. I've always gotten it. And I think you respond in a way when somebody, is honest with you and you're doing it out of love. There's no ill will towards anybody. It's like we have to improve. This is what we have to do. And I tell them, I don't take things personally. I don't want you to take it personally. So yes, it is on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Coach, the first 3 games, you gave up a combined 72 points.
Yes.
You've already exceeded that total the last 2 games. What do you feel that the defense has hit this rough patch where they just can't seem to get off the field enough?
Man, blown coverages. Like we had, we had a blitz call and the outside receiver motion to bunch. 3 players playing 3 different things. And with communication, we have the stuff to stop it, the communication. Nobody said a word to each other. We on the touchdown to Redette, our DB was showing blitz, which we told him don't show the blitz on that. He's too fast for that. So he gets out running, but that just runs by. Fast receiver. Communication, not being smart. Our thing is smart, fast, and fearless. Well, we haven't played nowhere near how smart we're supposed to. We're still playing fast. Give us that. And just from the coaching standpoint on our side, my side, we have not been fearless. So everybody got a little piece of that, starting with me being the top one, get the most. So we're going back with the basic foundation that we have set, and how can I be better to benefit the team? And that's the motto theme this week.
I know, Coach, you mentioned you studied the Brahmas and Arlington Renegades game. I actually watched the game, and I really do think that if we clean up those penalties, you can knock out either 3 or 2. What are your thoughts on this team and the fans' hopes of you guys still making the playoffs?
As long as you got hope, that's what we say. I told you guys last week to tune in and don't give up on us. I feel like we've done enough for the fans, for you guys to come out and still say some good things about us and not just all the bad things. We're going to do that enough to ourselves. But again, I promise you guys, we are conscious of that. We know what our issues are, and we're focused on, and we've adjusted practice again. This will be like the 3rd time. And just remind fans and you guys too, I was talking to one of my buddies that's still coaching in college. He's in the middle of spring ball. They got 15 practices. And I was thinking about our situation. So you take a guy that was a head coach. I was talking about Dion. They talking about selling out the spring game. And I'm like, okay, Dion has been a head coach at Colorado since December. They actually don't play a game until September. 6 months. And so for us, it's still one of those things where you're still blessed. We've been doing this, 2? Training camp started January 8th or 9th. And I know I keep saying, and I don't want to sound like excuses, but it's one of those, we're relatively still young, and I know teams, you're looking at Washington as 5-0. If you really look at their games, you're like, okay, mistake here. Should they really be? They are 5-0, but it's the mistakes. We're making more mistakes and putting ourselves in bad situations, even on the circumstances. We are better than what our record says. I know we are what we are. Somebody just made that statement, but we're going to change it. We feel like we should be. It should show a little better than that. Now we just have to show that on the scoreboard.
Terrell, you've been halfway through the season now. What surprised you the most so far for you guys? Not just a record aside, what surprised you about the first half of the season for you?
Oh man, I think for me, I can't speak for the other coaches. How exciting and good this league is, to be honest with you. How adaptable the players and coaches have been. I think for the most part, the great attitude, the fan support. I'm talking about all the positive stuff that's happened for this league, and I'm still very thankful and feel like I'm blessed about it. But just surprised, it's how organized, just all the good things that's happening. Watching the game as a fan last night, seeing the fan support. You look at San Antonio getting 35,000 fans there. It's been really surprising and humbling at the same time.
You've obviously had, a lot of great coaches that have coached with you or you worked with, things like that. You've seen them kind of go through their ups and downs. What is something that you take from somebody, maybe a Bobby Bowden or someone that went through some difficult times, and what they're able you can kind of lean on during this time right now for you?
Don't forget why you're here, and understanding that it's not always going to go your way. And one of the things I do too is I watch The Last Dance after something like that, and realize that Chicago Bulls, with the greatest player ever, you couldn't get out of the second round with the Chicago Bulls, with Detroit and all those guys, Jordan. Then he got pieces. Here comes Horace Grant. Here comes Scottie Pippen. Here comes Phil Jackson. People don't realize Doug Collins was the head coach when Jordan got there, and he loved Doug Collins. and Phil brings in a different philosophy. So for me, studying sports, Bill Russell, Bob Cousy is there, and then the Celtics couldn't win. Here come Bill Russell. So just having a realistic approach on, I know what I want to be. I know what I want to be able to bring to this league and to the Orlando greater area, to the fans, to you guys, a championship. That is the goal. That hasn't changed. We've had a few bumps in the road, but we got an idea. I have a better idea on how it needs to be done, what needs to happen in the direction. So I'm still very, very positive and excited about this.
Hey, Coach. You're going into a stretch with 3 straight home games. Your best performances so far in the first 5 games have actually been on the road. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to turn things around, this is a very important stretch for you guys. How do you plan on doing that?
What you just said, this is a very important stretch for us. I think the players realize that. How we're going to do that? We're going to go back and evaluate ourselves. Again, I keep saying it starting with me. What am I doing to make us better? And then that trickles down, coaches, then the players. And then we're going to start putting guys in the right position. We're going to, 5 games on our belts. Okay, he can do it, but he can't do it this many plays. He cannot do that. I can't call that there. Coach, let them do that. You get out of the way. I'm talking to myself. Let's manage this a little bit better. So it's a total organization effort and identifying what can I do better that's going to turn and make this team better and stop making all those mistakes and start putting points on the board, stopping teams from scoring. And so we have a different feeling in the locker room after the game.
Coach, as somebody who's studying games, you're going to be facing the Seattle Sea Dragons very soon. Got a great 1-2 punch with DiNucci at quarterback and Ellison running the ball. What is you've seen so far on film, and kind of break them down a little bit for us, if you don't mind.
Don't forget about the receivers, Jaquil Pearson too. Now they have a very good team. They do a great job. I think they started out kind of with us, the 0-2, and they got to their identity after that. I think the same thing we're trying to do. I feel like we are where we need to be with our identity, which means we're going to play better. They're playing, obviously they've won 3 in a row. And we want to be able to start off streak, which means that we got to take care of business this weekend. And we're very, very excited about this opportunity. The only way you gain confidence and move forward is you want to face the best and see where you stand. And right now they are playing some of the best ball in the league.
Yeah, and speaking of best ball, this is actually a player-driven question. Darius Clark, who was in training camp, reached out to me and wanted me to ask you, is there any possibility he has an opportunity to rejoin the team?
There's always opportunity. I have much respect for Darius as we move forward and opportunity comes up. If you look, we have a history of bringing back guys, but it all depends on the need of what we need. And I always tell guys, again, just like with us, don't take it personally. We're not attacking you. We only have so many spots and there are needs that we have to fill. If you don't fit that criteria, then sometimes you're the odd person out. What I would tell ball players, young ball players, make yourself valuable by being able to do more than 1 or 2 things. The more you can do, the more valuable you are.
You got time for a couple more if you got them, guys. Anything else?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Just to follow up on that. So he does play multiple positions. What would he have to do specifically to kind of elevate himself to get back?
Keep stay in shape and keep doing what he's doing. The season's not over.
Coach, talking about Seattle, you're playing a team that's thrown more passes this year than anybody. They've completed more passes, more yardage. As a DB back in your playing days, did you get excited when you knew you were going to face a quarterback that threw a lot?
Absolutely. And I'm looking at my numbers. You have to remind, I think we have a bunch of yards. We're right up there with Seattle with the yardage. Yes, I would get excited, but again, I remind you guys, I'm not playing. So me getting excited and being able to go out there and make plays is totally different than trying to get the players excited and for us to make some of those plays. That is what this is about. Who can make plays, who can't make plays, who can limit their mistakes and show up at the right time.
Good.
I just want to throw some respect on the fact that the Orlando coach acknowledges Horace Grant instead of Dennis Rodman on The Last Dance.
Well, Dennis Rodman is on there too. I'm talking about in
no
the
doubt.
beginning. I'm talking about in the beginning. Then Horace obviously leaves there and goes to Orlando, which I used to sit in the stands and watch him. So him and, you know what? One guy that doesn't get the respect he deserves is Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway should be one of the greatest players. They talk about it. You know, you talk about injuries and he hurt his knee, but his first 5 to 7 years, I mean, was there anybody better? I mean, so I just threw that out there because I like Penny. So
No problem with that. I just like you threw some shine on the goggles, Coach. We're all good.
yes, I like the gog. I like Horace. Yes.
Well, you'd appreciate this. I was at the NCAA tournament last week and I bumped into Will Perdue. And of course, I being a Chicago fan, I had to actually like kind of throw a little bit of love towards Will Perdue and the job he did with the Bulls during those years. So when you mentioned The Last Dance, that made me smile.
Yes. I mean, a bunch of role guys doing what they're supposed to do, man. So, and that's what we're trying to create here with the Guardians. And I think we are heading in the right direction. We got some things going on this week that I think is going to help us too. So, you guys stay tuned.
All right, guys. Everybody good?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
you,
Coach.
guys.
So much,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Thanks, Terrell.
Appreciate Buckley.
See y'all soon.
Great, Coach. Look forward to seeing you.